What's up, folks? Let people get in here. We'll get rolling. I don't know why the Facebook page isn't working today. We've lost the connection. But we do have YouTube here. We have my personal Facebook. Got Twitter. What's up? What's up? So as y'all are coming in, go ahead and plug in any questions into the comments, and I'll get to those here in a bit. I do want to kind of give some thoughts on something I saw this week, and then we'll get into Q&A. And I got a few questions that have come in just on Instagram or just different places. But if you want to make sure I get to your question first, be sure, even if you've put it in another comment on a video, I do appreciate those. And this week I'll have Nori go through and kind of scrape those and put those together, make sure I can kind of go through those on an upcoming live. I was reinvigorated to teach after getting to spend some time with some of our Dealmakers Institute and PEFI members over the past weekend in Vegas. I think, sometimes it's just like I hunker down and I'm focused on, my funds, my deals, Fiji, just doing the thing that we do here. But it was great to be around those guys, see the impact that the information that we share has had. And so that's what keeps me going. I think most of y'all know I sold Dealmakers Institute, still involved with it, but there's not like a huge financial incentive. It's like I really do all of this from my heart, don't make money from the YouTube channel. It is trying to have an impact and doing all this stuff from the heart. So, and I do want to say as well, which is something that I want to talk more about, but spending time with all of y'all also makes me realize I'm very appreciative of the IQ level. Like we bought a business a while back that was in the real estate space. And this was years ago, but one of the things that was like very annoying was, you just have a ton of people, and I don't want to call them low IQ, they're just not high level thinkers. And so dealing with those people is frustrating. Dealing with people that are kind of get rich quick mentality is frustrating. And so that business had a lot of those folks. And so when I get around my people, when I see y'all's questions, when we get to interact, whether it's the subscribers, whether it's members in Private Equity Fund Incubator, whether it's member of DMI, all of those folks are just high level thinkers. I think some of that may be because you're only going to come across me if you're like searching kind of high level stuff. The average person isn't thinking about becoming a financier. The average person isn't thinking about getting into private equity. The average person doesn't see that, hey, starting a business is completely dumb. You should be doing acquisitions. And so you only are going to end up here if you're pretty smart. So I'm very fortunate to have y'all. Plug in questions and we'll get rolling. Speaking of which, that leads into kind of the first thing I wanted to start talking about here. And it was this headline that went viral saying that Kanye West is the richest African American in the history of America. And so that headline, number one, is untrue and it saddened me. It made me sad that that was so celebrated, not because of anything against Kanye, like, congratulations, like whether your net worth is $1 billion or $6 billion or whatever, congratulations as a Black man in America. That is a terrific achievement. My sadness and disappointment is more around the fact that we don't know the stories of the actual people who represent the wealthiest African Americans and what they did. So people in private equity, who literally, if you put today's dollars to his net worth when he passed, and the first African American to close an acquisition of $1 billion deal, Reginald Lewis. It's like it really degrades us that we allow people to put these headlines in front of us and continue to kind of promote this idea that only athletes, only entertainers, only these type of people have this path that Black people can get to billionaires. And the real stories like Robert Smith, like Reginald Lewis, who I mentioned, all these folks, even like a Robert Johnson, like these stories, those are the ones that we should be celebrating, because that can literally be duplicated. I can't be Kanye. Like, I can't do that, but you literally can follow the steps. And the fact that all three of those people who were billionaires were in private equity, and so I saw that. Obviously want to salute Kanye, but, knowing a little bit about net worth, I think the 1.6 billion is already just a stretch, because what you're looking for when it comes to net worth is what could you sell everything for. Like, you're only looking for two things. Either it's a multiple of income, so you look at the net income and you come up with a multiple of what that's going to be. And if you're stretching it, maybe it's 20 or whatever. That doesn't equal out to 6 billion. Or you're saying, hey, if you sell everything, that would equal out to 6 billion. And just neither one of those are even close to being true to 6 billion. And, just like Forbes came out, it's like the 1.6 is a stretch, but that's amazing. But I think it's when we have this opportunity to expose the youth to these other paths. And, I know on my channel, even when I make a video like this, my channel is overwhelmingly white. Because like I said, like, only people are going to end up on this channel because they're searching for those kinds of things. And they're only going to end up on this channel by searching for those things if they've already been exposed. They have some reason to search that out. And so by constantly, instead of promoting a Reginald Lewis to the youth so that they're searching out real information that isn't this, here's a Lamborghini, give me more money so I can buy another Lamborghini kind of BS that's mostly on YouTube. You've got the youth that's getting exposed, like, here's the real wealthiest African American. He did it through private equity, not by being a freaking rapper, not by getting his head crushed in football, not by being a basketball player. It's just like that isn't the only freaking path. And so it's just so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Like I said, I'm not even preaching to I know, like I said, most of my followers are white, which is, I love, but it's just that message is so annoying to me that, man, it really annoys me. So like I said, congratulations, respect to Kanye. Kanye is gonna be good. Like, whether it's 6 billion, $1 billion, he's gonna be good. And so again, the missed opportunity is that the average person out there, and especially right now, there's this gold rush, and that's kind of my balancing act of me even, giving you guys as much free information as I do here. Really appreciate, got one of the guys in the current private equity fund incubator too, was just commenting that, it's like, man, just thank you for this valuable information. And that as we go through with funds and like really expanding how people see funds and managing them and generating good returns and all of that stuff, and just a lot of stuff that I've learned. And he was very appreciative, but he's already built the $60 million real estate business, which is awesome. But the people that really could benefit from this stuff are just missing the boat and getting very easily distracted. I mentioned the people in front of the Lamborghinis. It's one of the things that is funny to me from just the financier perspective. There are a lot of people that really do get a tremendous amount of joy from owning a Lamborghini. But when you're around those people, for the most part, are looking for additional excitement. When you're around people that really generate wealth, number one, their passion is that their passion is business. It takes a lot of passion to do that. And the stress associated with it is really high. So if you're really generating real wealth, there's a lot of stress and just, ups and downs, and, you're constantly taking risk and all that. And so the real wealth, like if real wealth was taking pictures, it's going to be at the golf course. Like at the end of that day, at the end of your time, you're not looking, you don't even want more excitement. There's a reason that they have these golf courses. There's a reason they're high-end people hang out at cigar bars. Because if you're really doing real business, like you're not trying to go 200 miles per hour, putting all of your shareholders at risk at the end of the day in some supercar. Like you, for the most part, like there's always these slight distinctions, but when you look at the most part of these true wealth, even if they have a Lamborghini, they're just not taking a picture of it in front and to put on Instagram. So I think it's one of those things that's interesting to me, is that a lot of this stuff creates these distractions instead of looking at, okay, what did 99.9% of the wealthy do? Like when they have time to relax, it's a cigar, it's playing around the golf, it's very chill stuff. It's not, let me go to a party with a bunch of Instagram models and, that becomes my business, like Dan Bilzerian, which, there's a lot of things that are interesting there. If you look at his public company, that's just like, okay, like you're not doing real business. This is your business. So be careful and again, like, I mean, do what you want with your money. But if I were you, I would be very hesitant and be very careful of someone that's doing that, because that is their business. The reason they want all the excitement at the end of a day of working is because they haven't worked. They haven't taken a risk. They haven't, they're not just looking to get somewhere, be mellow, recharge for what they know is going to be another hard day the next day. So it's something to consider. There's a lot of levels to that I won't waste your time getting into. But I try to come to you guys with the real. And, again, just with the full knowledge that there's always exceptions. I think of Richard Branson, who just, he really uses that as his business. But if it's some dude on Instagram, I think those types of things, you look at things like the traders and investors that are showing these ups. And one of the reasons that they sell programs is because there's also these huge drawdowns. And so, I do some things in the market, but I want to do things in the market with money from my business that's generating a profit already. I don't want to take money that I work for and then put that into the market. I want to take money that's coming from my business, generate more money with that, and quite honestly, attribute that to my business, which increases my multiple. And so it's thinking more strategically than what most people I see are doing. So let's talk some of y'all's questions here. Let's see. I'll scroll up to the top. All righty. What's up, Braylon? All right. Braylon asks, realistically speaking, what's the minimum amount we should have before starting? Great question. Just you either got to have hustle or money. So if you don't have hustle, if you don't have time and you don't have energy, maybe you're working a job or whatever, you've got to take that money and save up. Like, I would say you can get a real deal with some financing in place. If you're starting even with $5,000 right now, especially if you're buying an offline business, there just are an incredible amount of opportunities. And, even with the title of this, it's one of the things that I think a lot of people just miss out on is that right now there are a ton of these opportunities that you can get with no money down, but you've got to either have the cash or secondly is credit. We're doing more SBA deals than ever before. It's still work to get that done. Nobody's giving out free money. But once you start to build the systems around, getting access to the source of money that you're going to use, then that becomes a lot easier. So understanding your source and then getting good at that source, I think is something that most people don't do. Most people are just like, oh, like I'm going to go and, my strategy is going to be SBA, or my strategy is going to be royalty financing, or my strategy is going to be raising capital. My clients that do the best, they just get really good at one thing. So what we're going to get good at is raising capital from investors. What we're going to get really good at is the paperwork, everything involved with doing SBA. What we're going to get really good at is finding the right deals that fit the royalty model and getting access to those funds. Those are things to consider, but if credit is good, then you're in a really great position, and I would be out there pursuing deals. If you're interested in having us help you do deals, check out dealmakersinstitute.com. All right, the numbers. I saw this pop up as I was talking. I was like, yeah, amen. So, it's just one of those things that's super frustrating to me. I think it's not only the fact that, we propagate that whole thing, but right now there's so many opportunities. And I think that we do see this space as one that's not open to us. And so by championing, which again, I love and respect Jay-Z's story. I love and respect Kanye's story. I love and respect these guys, but we have some freaking better stories. We have some stories that aren't being shared, but we're stuck in this idea that the only way for us to make money is just playing their games and, quite frankly, being Sambo, doing entertainment and all that stuff continuously. And now there's a big move to the stock market, which is still just a interestingly rigged game. But if you know how to play it the right way, then you can still win there. But it's just getting exposure to the games that not everybody's already overrunning. So very appreciate that. His comment was, Black people could leverage private equity more than anyone else due to our unique experiences in underserved communities. I think it's both of those things. It's still taking a lot of those same talents. It's the difference, and sometimes it could be a sacrifice. One of the more frustrating things, and I appreciate my white audience that will just hang in and listen to a lot of this. But one of the most frustrating things is, like, you look at something like the NBA. I think private equity minded folks would take that loss on the front end of, okay, I'm not going to get a $40 million contract, but if we create our own league, just get a few sponsors, and we just go over there, and now it's all Black on, and it's just like we're 90% of the freaking league. Like, there's no way that the ownership should be 90% white. Like, it just is a fact. Like, that's not about race or whatever. It's just like, how could y'all be cool with being 90% of the stars, but then they own you? It's a very weird thing. But to say, okay, I'm not getting 40 million now, but I'm going to get some equity in this thing, and that could be $1 billion later. And so I'll take this 4 million instead of 40, still be very comfortable, but make a short-term sacrifice for long-term, generational after generation after generation wealth. All right, Mr. M. Sway, what up, homie? What's up, man? He says, good topic as always. I greatly appreciate that, my fellow financier. What else we got over here? Rudy Banks, how's it going? Thanks for popping in. He says, Ace, I appreciate your content. We're closing on our first FedEx business acquisition. I love it, man. I got it closing in 2 months. You're a big inspiration. I greatly appreciate that. Like I said, that really is why I do this, man. All right. Oops, I missed my place. And number says, congrats, Rudy. So shout out to you, man. All right. We got this from Idarius. I'm going to go on a limb and hopefully I pronounced that correct. He says, what up, Ace? Can't wait to hear about this from your perspective. Yeah, curious to hear what your thoughts are after I kind of laid down some of my thoughts around that. Brandon says, doing awesome, Ace. Appreciate that. Let's see. All right, we got Montreal. What's up, Mr. Montreal? Unfortunately, in a lot of our communities, the only dream that's being sold is being an athlete, rapper, or dealer. And I didn't even mention dealer, but you're right. He says, I didn't learn about Robert Smith until I was in my 30s. And we're doing ourselves the most outrageous disservice with that. And I would also tell you to check out Reginald Lewis's book. He was somebody who in the 80s did an acquisition of a $1 billion company and should be somebody that we talk about more than Jay-Z. Adair says, what's your take on the Black community not having control of resources and cash flowing asset? Is it a lack of group economics? I think a lot of it just starts with having a different kind of dream, man. When I'm with my friends who have kids of other cultures, and you ask them what they're focused on and what their dreams are, it's just a different thing. And I think it really does start there. I think it starts with having that early dream of some of these other things and having that focus. That's funny. I just saw your other comment. You got to have a focus strategy. Yeah. And if you start that focus early, I didn't know anything about private equity. So I was the same way. I didn't even know anything about private equity when I was doing it. So I bought my first business, had gotten a close to 4x return. Even after getting the 4x return, it took a mentor that I got later that I've talked to you guys about, the guy that flipped hospitals, who after that business went out of business and I felt like a complete failure. He's like, dude, you got a 4x return. Like, that is success. You can't look at this like an entrepreneur. You want to be an investor. And that was one of my first shifts. It was like, okay, but business go out of business. Like, I'm not just looking at what did I put in and my cash on cash. That was of the total amount. My cash on cash return was more like 100x, because it was $3,000 cash after credit, all that, and then generated about 300,000. But even after doing that deal, even after doing a small mortgage company and acquiring that, and being in the space where I basically was buying businesses, I didn't know that was a thing. I just thought it was kind of like, okay, this is this hack that I figured out where, instead of starting a business from scratch, I'm still an entrepreneur, but I just happen to buy these businesses. And I still thought that I was going to be a kind of like a long-term business owner of one of the businesses I bought. It never crossed my mind that I could be in the business of buying and selling businesses. And so again, that's the sad thing about not exposing people to that. Because even for me, like, I started very early, but imagine if those, 6-7 years where I was kind of figuring out things and thinking I had to run a business forever and blah, 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 like, I knew and could learn about this. And so I think exposure is the first step to even being able to focus on something. And then when you have these examples like Robert Smith and you have the rest of us, it's just like the path has literally been laid, and it's just a matter of following. All right. So Brazil, what's up? Hopefully everybody else is getting some value out of this. I'm happy to get into the business questions as well. We have this business question that says, should I have a cash flowing business that gives me credibility before I start my private equity company? First of all, I am curious if you're in Brazil. That's one of the places that has been open. I really want to make it down there at some point. So curious if you're currently in Brazil. So you don't need a cash flowing business to build your credibility. Sometimes partners can increase credibility. It's one of the things that we do with our members is, we kind of treat them as partners. Other times experience and expertise can be a good for credibility. So one of the things that we always try to figure out is, what have you worked in? What industry have you been in? And so somebody who's been in a Facebook marketing agency, when they start their private equity company, they want to have that as a focus of what they do. And so when they come in, they may not be the expert at private equity like we are, but they're saying like, hey, that's not my goal. My goal is to leverage in these private equity deals my experience in Facebook or whatever your experience is, whatever your background or whatever is. So those would be the two things there. And kind of my last point as far as credibility is, right now there's so many deals. If you're overseas, if you happen to be, I'm in Medellin, and there's just so many businesses that owners are willing to walk away from, that now is probably the easiest time to get deals done without having a ton of history or credibility. All right. I want to skip to this because and I'm gonna come back to some of you guys, but this is such an important one right here. So Reginald Lewis was good friends with Michael Milken, and it's one of the reasons that I will forever be a big fan of Michael Milken, and it shows you some of the stuff that Reginald had to go through. One of the things, and you'll see this in Reginald Lewis's book, he faced a tremendous amount of racism trying to get anything done in high finance. But he really never wanted to be looked at as a victim. So he just wouldn't, just wouldn't talk about it. And so Michael Milken, guy, is a Jewish background, was in finance and started helping Reggie get his deals done. And just by being at the bank and representing the bank to help this, Black man get his deals financed, Michael Milken started getting death threats, started threatening his family. And he was like, man, like Reginald's never mentioned any of this. And so one day Reginald comes, he's like, are you not getting like this outrageous stuff? And like people trying to attack my family and all this stuff. It's like, you're not getting any of this? And Reginald's like, oh yeah, I get tons of that. He's like, why have you never mentioned it? It's like, what's the point? So just, again, getting in touch with that, like you can't trust the history that they teach you. You gotta learn your own history. So I saw that and just wanted to bring that out. All right, let's see. 199. Let's see. Ace, I have an off market. I'm assuming that's pharma. UK and Europe. Would this interest you? A young Black male breaking into acquisitions. How can we connect? So the best way to connect is to go to dealmakersinstitute.com. You'll connect with one of our guys, that is helping to manage that. But these are all people that do deals. So there's nobody that works in Dealmakers or works in Financier Bank or, just does anything that I'm involved with. On the Fiji side, we do have just people from different backgrounds. But all these people are real deal makers. And so you're going to be able to talk to somebody who's a real deal maker. And that's kind of the first line of defense or whatever to get through and see if it's something that's worth us taking a look at. But more than anything, big congrats, big congrats. If you have some specific questions on the deal, be sure to plug those in. What time is it? Oh, man. This is going by. How long have we been on? So I do have a call in a bit, but one of the other things, and speaking of this call that's coming up, so one of the other things I would encourage you to do, and this is with my upcoming call, is I've got two of my best friends. One of them been friends with since we were in first grade in a hood school in Chattanooga. The other one I've been friends with since seventh grade. And I think that getting accountability partners that, are helping you level up. I have just I'm just really starting to do that where it's like, like we getting on the phone every week, like, what's your goal? Like one of my buddies trying to finish a book he's been working on for a while. My other buddies doing stuff with video. And, but all three, it's really holding each other accountable. So that would just be something, that's my call that's coming up that I think more people should do. And it's not just helpful for you, it's helpful for the people you love, and actually doing that with my family. We're starting a family fund investment company, and my sister's going to run that. And so trying to do things, and even with my nephews, like I want them to see this stuff from as early as possible and be exposed from as early as possible. Can promise you, when you ask when you ask my nephews if they are going to be playing sports or be a rapper, they're not. Not going to respond with that madness. All right, Montreal. If money and credit isn't an option at the moment, is finding a partner the next best thing? I think I would even put before a partner being the next best thing. Like the first best thing is finding a deal where the owner is motivated and you can buy that business with no money. Because they're just walking away. There are guys like we're talking about them all the time on our deal makers calls. If you're willing to do an offline business, there are people with real assets, true value, who went through the headaches of this last year and they're just over it. It's not that the business isn't profitable as things open back up. It's not that there's no opportunity there. It's not that, they don't have real assets. It's just, they're just done. And I think sometimes you have to have owned a business to understand the stress. And that's what I was saying, like, you want to be doubtful of the people that are in front of the Lamborghinis and just having fun all day and showing these photos of lifestyle stuff and all that, because that's not like, if that is their business is getting you to give them money to do that stuff. So they have a ton of energy after that because you're just giving them free money. If you're really doing work, you are exhausted and it's tough and you're dealing with stress and you got issues with employees and suppliers and deliveries. And, you're not like, oh man, let me go out to my Lamborghini. And the more busy, I've got interest in over 30 businesses. Like it's you're not chilling in front of them. So I think once you understand the reality of what real, like we've just distorted what being an entrepreneur and business owner is on Instagram. But once you understand what a real business owner is, you realize like, okay, yeah, a lot of these business owners are tired of their business, and us coming in from the private equity perspective, where we see that as an asset, not the way that I saw business early on, which is, hey, this is just a thing I got to do for my life. And make an income from it. When we come in with the private equity perspective and maximize the profit margins, maximize the assets within the business, create financial assets to add to the balance sheet, increase what could be the sales price, and then turn around and create a creative financial structure and capital structure for the buyer, it just like, it's easy, man. It's very, very easy. The other thing, we do have which Curtis is going to kill me. We've got a merger specialist. This is the other program that I would take a look at. So look at merger specialists. I'm pretty sure it's mergerspecialist.com. If you don't get there with that, then go to Deal Makes Sense Too, and they'll connect you. But merger specialist is one that I like because it is that strategy where you're going into a business. One of the things that I love to do is to not even buy that business. Just say, hey, I'm going to help you grow. Like, how would you like to grow your business? I'm going to help you grow through mergers, and we help them do that. All right, I got a couple more. Thank y'all so much for the amazing questions. I do have to roll in a minute. Let's see. All right, we got this. The sports and entertainment industries do have extremely tight grip on the mind of the Black people when it comes to determining path to success. There are other paths, 100%. I do see, yeah, oh, good. Down here, Rudy says, having to start a business from scratch was tough, but the experience is invaluable, 100% okay. But learning how to buy businesses and applying your knowledge of growing and improving a business is 100% the cheat code. One of the funny things that I found, and especially as I'm going through even the second round of private equity fund incubator, is that sometimes things are so easy that we want to make them hard. So that's the other extreme of like, sometimes I'm teaching people something, they're like, no, like that just can't work that way. And it's like, Wall Street's been doing this forever. Goldman Sachs has been doing this forever. It is the way it works, you know. When Chamath did his, Chamath, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his last name. There's really only one Chamath that people recognize. But when he talked about how Silicon Valley and the stock market is kind of this Ponzi scheme, and they use the stock market to appropriate this Ponzi scheme out of Silicon Valley, and people are just like, no, like it can't work that way. It can't be that easy. It's like, yeah, like that's how it works. Those are the rules. All right. Kay, what's up? Kay, thanks for popping in. Where can I find out more about your journey and how you got started in business acquisitions? Check out the ACE formula. I don't really promote stuff, so I don't promote this. I just don't promote stuff, which I gotta, like in my businesses, I'm like heavy on promotion, but you know, when I come to you guys, like, all right, let's just chill and talk. But I do have a book. It's called the ACE formula, and you can get it on Amazon, and it goes through my whole journey. Sam B, thanks for popping in, sir. Let's see. How does one start learning? How does it start and learn more about private equity? And does your advice to someone who is still in varsity and want to go into private equity? So yes, check out this channel. I do, a lot of kind of just the beginner concepts around starting in private equity. If you're interested in starting to do deals, check out dealmakersinstitute.com, mergerspecialist.com. Ace Chapman also has a lot of articles, acechapman.com. And like I said, check out my book, The Ace Formula, which is you can get for like free, I think, if you are a part of the Kindle thing. So, all right. You are very welcome, Montreal. LK, what up? PE sounds similar to flipping business, but I'm sorry. PE sounds similar to flipping houses, but instead you're flipping businesses. That's it. And it's just a lot better game. It is a lot better game with a lot less competition. Mr. Rowan says, how can a 21-year-old buy a business? I bought my first business at 19. I would, because I'm bouncing out, recommend checking out the channel if you want to do free stuff. You can also get my book for free if you're a member of Kindle somehow. I am going to do, and this is my notification for when this call. So I am going to do a audio version. So be on the lookout for that. And we'll end it with this one. I'm going to do a video of this coming up soon because it is very interesting. So it says, Pine Scheme, wow, never thought about it like that. But it is, isn't that wow? So I'll do a video on that because I think the more that sometimes we have these institutions that have been built up in our head to be these magical things. I mean, even if it's just a country, one of the things that, and I heard astronaut who had been to the moon say that was like so amazing was, he's looking at the earth and like, one of the things that he did was like put his finger up so that the earth was blocked and he just saw the universe. And you're like, man, the universe is so massive. Then he comes back and he sees this little thing in the middle of it. And, it's like we have all these imaginary lines and borders and all that, but it's like we're this one little tiny thing that is this one thing in the massive universe. But when it comes to countries, like these are just imaginary things that humans have come up that are just like you. The stock market is something that a human just like you came up with this concept and propagated. Goldman Sachs was started by Marcus Goldman. It's like a dude that was broke just like you. You can build and do any of this stuff. And I think that is a great point to end on. Thanks so much, guys. Talk to y'all soon. Oh, be sure to subscribe. That's another thing I'm bad at. Be sure to subscribe. Make sure you like, because these are diamonds. I'm just trying to give y'all a few of the diamonds that I had to freaking go through a lot of pain, heartache, stress to figure out a lot of this stuff. Thanks for popping on.